This is a short tutorial for beginners about Macs, explaining typical pitfalls and problems that often occur when using Macs for Live with an Ableton Live for the first time. All keyboard shortcuts refer to a Mac. On a Windows computer, you would have to press Control instead of Command and such. Here are a few questions that have been asked more frequently by my students. My newly created Macs patch suddenly has a different background color, beige, not gray. What happened? If you don't have a Macs standalone license when you open a Macs for Live patch, the application still runs in the background like a normal program. You could theoretically create your patch here in the same way. However, the inputs for MIDI and audio only work via the Ableton environment, so it makes sense to open and edit the patch there from the start. The file extension for a Macs standalone patch would be .maxpad, while the Macs for Live extension is .amxd. By default, the background color here is gray, while in the Macs standalone program it is beige. So, if a beige patch suddenly opens, it was probably opened in the standalone environment and should now be transferred to the Macs for Live environment by copy and paste and being saved there with the correct file extension. How can I make the background of my patcher brighter, and how can I change the background color for my user interface? The inspector, which otherwise also contains the characteristics and properties for all objects, should in this case only refer to the patch as such. While you can click on the inspector button or use the shortcut Command-I to get the inspector to the selected object, you have to right-click inside the patcher and select the inspector window there. Or you can alternatively use the shortcut Command-Shift-I as a key command. Here you can set the unlocked patcher background color for the open patcher you're working in and the locked patcher background color, which is also relevant for the later user interface. Why can't I move the objects within the patch anymore? When the patch is in lock mode, you cannot move the individual objects, create new objects or delete objects. Instead, user interface objects now have the possibility to change their settings. Why can't I set the values of the objects which instead move all the time? When the patch is unlocked, you can move objects, create new objects or delete objects. If you want to change the settings of user interface objects, you have to either enable lock or temporarily bypass unlock with a command click. A third possibility is the enable operate while patching mode, where you have access to the setting and can still delete and create objects and move objects with the pressed Shift key. Command-E can be used to quickly switch between the two settings. Alternatively, you can click in the patch window while holding down the Command key to switch settings. What does the horizontal line mean? The horizontal line marks the bottom edge that the patch would have as a user interface inside Ableton Live. This means that the exact height of the interface is already defined, as anything outside this area will not be visible in the device inside Ableton Live. Why do I no longer see any patch chords even though I just connected everything together? Probably the wrong mode is set here right now. The patch should first be created in patching mode and then displayed in presentation mode with the desired objects as a user interface. In presentation mode, no patch chords are visible. If you start with a new patch in Macs for Live, it is recommended to set Open and Presentation in the inspector window first. Then you can start patching in the patching mode and later switch to presentation mode for the user interface, in which the patch will also be visible in Ableton Live. Open and Presentation is located in the inspector window under View, relatively far down. If you only activate the Basic tab of the inspector window, you might find the function a little easier. How can I quickly switch between presentation and patching mode? You can switch between the two modes with the shortcut Command-Alt-E. How can I align the patch chords evenly, and how can I undo this if I want to check the original alignment? Under the Menu tab Arrange, you will find the function Route Patch Chords, which can also be reached with the shortcut Command-Shift-Y. If you wanted to undo the whole thing for better traceability, you would find the function remove all segments under the same menu tab, which you can also reach with the shortcut Command-Alt-Control-Y. What other keyboard shortcuts exist? Pressing the X key while a patcher window is unlocked and at the top level, for example by clicking in it once, brings up a list of all keyboard shortcuts. How can I set the number box to output decimal numbers and not only integers? The integer number object can be quickly created by pressing the letter I in the unlock patcher. Likewise, the float number object can be quickly created by pressing the letter F in the unlock patcher. The display format can also be changed in the inspector. By default, the live.numBox object directly outputs float values but only displays integer values. This can also be changed in the inspector. How can I change or limit the range of a user interface object, for example a dial knob or a number box? For the standard number objects, there's the possibility to define their range more precisely in the inspector, for instance to avoid too high or negative settings. For all live dot objects, there's the possibility to define the range directly in the inspector below the type setting. How can I select certain objects to appear in my user interface? Right-click on the corresponding object in the unlock patcher to open a context menu where you can activate Add to Presentation. Alternatively, the shortcut Command-Shift-P can be used. Both works also if you select multiple objects and perform the above described operation. As soon as an object will also appear in presentation mode, you will see it in patching mode with a pink colored frame. If you want to remove an object from the presentation mode, you can find the command in the same context menu directly below, or you can use the shortcut Command-Alt-P. How can I make user interface objects mappable or automatable in my Ableton Live session? This works exclusively with the live dot objects. Almost every user interface object has a corresponding live dot object that is directly recognized in Ableton Live and can be mapped and automated. If this should appear directly with the correct name, an initial value, or even a description, this can be specified in the inspector. It is therefore often recommended to take the live dot object directly if you already know that the object should appear in the user interface. Replacing objects that should be remain connected can be done very quickly and easily with the paste and replace command, or with the shortcut Command-Alt-V. Which objects can I use to quickly check if everything is working at a specific position in my patch? The message object, shortcut M, can not only store predefined messages, it can also process variables. While the left input is needed for the latter process, which also directly outputs the entered message, some messages can be entered into the right input to either be transferred further later or just for being displayed. While numerical values can of course always be displayed by a number object, and the button that performs bang functions is also suitable for checking the same function, the message box can also display strings, for example text, or lists. Alternatively, any data can be displayed in the max console, shortcut Command-M, by connecting a print object. While the above options explicitly refer to messages, signals in the MSP domain, that means everything that comes as output from an object with a tilde, can be displayed with a corresponding number tilde object, or you can directly use one of the display objects, such as scope tilde or spectroscope tilde.